What's up, you guys? It's your girl Kiya. That's right, it's me back with another video, and today I'll be by myself. Now, these type of videos I usually like to do with my brother because we feed off of each other, and we just both really like Avatar, and so we both kind of just like, feed off of each other because we both have, we both be knowing stuff about the show, and so it's just good to have that collaboration between two people. But today I'll be doing this video by myself. Okay, so today I'll be talking about the live action, basically what's been going on with the whole live action show of Avatar Last Airbender on Netflix. And this might be an insider as of why the original creators decided to leave Netflix and helping them with this show. And so for me, I was like, I have to say something. I think this news has been out for quite a minute, but I just feel like I had to say, I wanted to say my piece on it and like how I felt about, like the whole thing. So basically what I heard was like a little birdie. I'll probably put his video right here of like who I got the information from, and I also looked it up on the internet and I found an article on it as well. But apparently they're trying to, Netflix is trying to add more mature content in this new live action show. And so a lot of people, a lot of like fans, hardcore fans, are not happy with this news. And I must say that I myself, I'm not even happy about this news as well. And I just feel like it's just because of the fact that, like, I had to say something about it just because of the fact that Netflix is really known, like, especially in their shows, especially of like young, I guess you say like shows like for teenagers, like young adults, or like, stuff like that. Basically like, like younger people, like when it comes to their shows, like with that, even those shows have a lot of mature content in it. So I'm not surprised that they'll want to put more mature content in the show, in the live action. But my issue is the fact that Avatar is not that kind of show, and I feel like they're kind of taking away from what Avatar really is, and it's disappointing to like see, because it's kind of like you like, these days I feel like a lot of times kids aren't really able to be kids. You don't really see a lot of like shows of kids really just being like regular, kids, teenagers. And I think a lot of times people forget of how young the characters actually are. So like if you're putting on this mature, and like I think they said like blood and violence and stuff in there as well. And I'm just like, on one hand, like in one of the articles it said it looks really good on paper, right? As far as like you'll have a lot of people that'll be interested in it because it's more adult. But then it's just kind of like, okay, but it's kind of taken away from what the spirit of Avatar really is. And it's just kind of like, it's really not that kind of a show. And I'm just like, these are kids that are actually like, these are kids that are basically saving the world is what they're doing. And so by adding like all this other kind of stuff in there, I think what made the show so good is just because that they were innocent and they were kind of pure, but not really pure, if you get what I mean. Like, it's just kind of like they were being who they're supposed to be. They're being young teenagers slash like preteens, because they're pretty young, and I think a few years actually passed during the span of the show itself. So I mean, they did get a little bit older. But what I'm saying is just the fact that they're acting how normal teenagers are kind of acting at their ages, and the fact that they're thinking of putting more mature content in there takes away from what Avatar really is. And I think a lot of times these days the kids that really feel like they have to be older than they actually are. And it's just kind of like, just let them be kids, like let them, I think that's one thing, that's the reason why I still, like literally I just finished watching Avatar for like the 20th time, like literally yesterday I finished the last episode. And it's just kind of like watching it just like, you feel good, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just like, it doesn't have all that stuff in it, and it's just kind of like, it's really pure, and it's just like really, it's just a really, really good show. And I feel like it doesn't need all that in it. Like even in the show, when it comes to like violence and things like that, when somebody like dies, but they don't really show it, you know what I'm saying? Like that they die, but it's just kind of like you don't necessarily need to see it. As far as like violence and things like that, it's just kind of like, okay, I mean I guess I'll understand that a little bit as far as like seeing more. I don't think there should be too much of it, but I feel like that, as far as like, because of live action, there's obviously going to be some blood and stuff in there as well, because it's realistic. So I would get that. But the only thing that really bothers me about that is just the mature content in there. I just feel like they're young. Let them be young. Let them just be like, the show is just so good without it. Like it really does not need it in the show at all. And I feel like Netflix has like that reputation of like lately a lot of people have been saying that they sexualize kids too much, and I actually kind of agree with that. It's just kind of like, let them be kids. Let them be the characters that they are. Let them be characters that they are. And I think that's why we love them so much. It's just the fact that they're just it just kind of reminds you of, like, because I'm not a teenager anymore, but it's just kind of like, dang, like, they're actually just, like, they're just having fun. They're just vibing with each other and making friends. Of course, you have couples in there and things like that. And, of course, like, if you're a young teenager, of course, like, sexual things come along. But it's just kind of like, it didn't need that in there, if you get what I mean. Like, you know what I'm saying? It didn't need it. And so I just feel like what we had was enough. And I just don't feel like adding all that mature content would really be necessary to put in there, honestly. I just feel like it takes away from what was created, like what Avatar really is, and I feel like that's not really necessary for what that is. I feel like just leave that out. Let's leave that out. Another thing was adding LGBTQ characters. As far as I'm concerned with that, I don't really care. I just feel like if you're gonna do that, please just don't mess with the original characters. And the reason why I say that is because even with coming on with Legend of Korra, I just feel like you've already had like this character development with each of the main characters and things like that. So you already kind of you're familiar with them. You're familiar with their growth as characters. And so I feel like adding such a significant shift in the character would really kind of, I just feel like by changing a character that significantly would just kind of like, I don't really want to say confused. Unless it fits in with that character and it's like, okay, that makes sense because of this. But if you already have like a character such as, like, let's just say Toph, because I feel like Toph would be one of the characters that they probably would try to make into a LGBTQ character. I just feel like Toph would probably be one of those characters that they change in that way, only because of the type of character that she is. But just use her as an example, it won't really make any sense, only because we see that she, first of all, she likes Sokka. Like, she likes guys. She wants to be pretty. We seen that episode with her and Katara. They're like, they had the makeup on and everything. Like, she wants to be pretty. She can't really see, so it's not really, her fault. She can't, like, dress up and things like that if she wanted to. She's more so like the laid back type of girl, which is kind of like how I am. I'm chill, you know what I'm saying? So that's just the character I see as far as, like, her. But then also in, Legend of Korra, in that show, we see that she has daughters, so obviously she likes men. But then it's just kind of like a character like that we already know what type of character they are, and we come to love them. It's just kind of like changing them in that way. It's just kind of like, I guess, a little bit confusing. Not really confusing, but it just kind of just like adds like another thing to the character. What I'm saying is, if it was a character that's not really like as developed, or if it just kind of fits in, like a character that we're not really like familiar with, as far as like we're still trying to see the character development coming from them, then it's okay. Like, it's kind of okay, whatever. But if you're messing with one of the characters that are already pretty well established, then I feel like that's when it kind of just like makes it, it's a little bit iffy for me, to be honest. So basically what I'm trying to say is, so that nobody's like confused about what I was saying, is that character interpretation is basically how we interpret a character. And I feel like for a lot of people, Toph represented like how diverse women really are, because in society we're always told if you're not feminine enough, or if you're not this, if you're not that, then you're automatically a lesbian because you're not like the typical female. And so for Toph, she was kind of like a trailblazer in that way, because she wasn't your typical female, and she kind of represented the women out there, well, I guess the straight women community that are tomboys but are not gay, because a lot of times it's hard out there. Because even for me growing up, it was just kind of like, if you're not like this, then you're automatically gay. Because you don't like wearing dresses, there's something wrong with you. And so she represents the community of women out there who aren't necessarily always feminine, but we're just comfortable in our own skin. And it's just kind of just like nice to see that, because a lot of times people use those stereotypes to automatically assume your sexuality. And the fact that she doesn't fit into that is, it kind of makes her interpretation that way. She's just, she's a trailblazer. She's not your typical woman. And so by making her a gay character, it would change that interpretation of her. It doesn't mean that anybody would like her any less or anything like that. It would just mean that what she stands for and how we see how she stands for would change. And so I feel like it would just be best to get a character that's not as well developed to actually just develop that character better. Because you already know so much about Toph already. It would be nice to get a character that's actually developed properly, to where we can actually see it coming along, rather than just like slapping it on a character that's already been like developed in that way, and people already have like, a respect and love for that character because they understand that character and they feel like they understand that character. And so like, yeah, just like it wouldn't do anybody any justice by just like slapping that title on her, just because people would expect her to be gay because of how she is. So that's all I mean. I'm not saying that like it's a bad thing or anything like that. I'm just saying that I feel like that should be something that's given thought and not just done, because I feel like that's so typical of a lot of like producers, just to slap that on her. Just like Korra, it just kind of like a lot of people were confused, because it's kind of like, why would you just like slap that on her? Like, you didn't really develop it properly. It seemed like it came out of nowhere, and that's not for me. It seems like a lot of people were thinking that, looking at different like looking at the community out there, the Avatar fans. A lot of people felt like it just kind of came out of nowhere, and so. I don't know, maybe you will agree, maybe you will disagree, but what I'm saying is I'd rather see a character that's developed properly rather than just seeing somebody just slap the title on somebody that's already been pretty much developed to this point, or like to a further point. So if you guys have any points, just let me know. But that's how I feel about that subject. And so yeah, so all in all, the live action, should they even go through with the live action? I just feel like if they're trying to change it in that way, I understand why the creators would have wanted to leave, because that's just not the original vision that they had for the show in and of itself, and it just doesn't have the spirit of Avatar and then the vision, like basically what they had in mind for it. And I agree with that. It's just kind of like, well, I just feel like it really just takes away from that. You already have so many shows out there that are just kind of, like that, but it's kind of refreshing to get a show that's kind of like, just seeing kids be kids, kind of like Stranger Things. You don't get a lot of that sexual stuff in there. That's actually one show I'm actually happy they didn't have all that stuff in there, because I feel like it would take away from it. I'm just like, I like the fact that they kind of just like let them be kids and things like that. You kind of see them like develop as they get older. I like that type of thing. I mean, it kind of takes me back to when I was like, preteen, or a teenager. It kind of takes me back to those times. It's nice. So I feel like having a show like that, like Avatar, is just like one of those shows where you're supposed to feel like a little nostalgic, and you just want to really like, remember how it is to be that age. Or even for kids who are watching it now that are kids, and it just kind of like, it's a kid's show, so it's just kind of like they should be able to grow up and they get to actually witness this live action. And for it to be a show that they probably won't be able to watch, it's just kind of like, what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it's just supposed to be, one of those shows that brings everybody together, no matter what age group you are. This is one of those legendary shows that just brings everybody, no matter how old you are. I'm 21 years old and I still watch that show. I know people who are older than me that still watch that show and love it. And it's just kind of like, just leave it how it is, like, of course, like, as far as the violence and everything like that, okay, whatever, but just not too much of it. But like, realistically, okay, sure, but like, not too much of it, if you get what I mean. But let me know what you guys think as well, as far as this subject. Like, tell me what your thoughts are on this, and like, what do you think? Do you think it's okay to have it? Would you like to see more mature content when it comes to Avatar? Would you like to see more violence and things like that when it comes to Avatar? Just let me know in the comments what you guys think. Honestly, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I know there are people who will probably be okay with this change, but for a lot of the fans out there, not too happy about it. So let me know what you think in the comment section. And also, I found this picture. I'm gonna pull it up on my phone. It's actually of like basically how I think it's like a animation thingy, I don't really know. Basically what they did was they created the characters realistically at how they would look if they're like actual people, and I think this is actually pretty spot on. I actually kind of like this, actually. The only one I'm not really too sure about is Toph, only because of the hair. I feel like the hair is okay, but how she had kind of like the bun thingy? I would have liked to kind of see that more. But as far as Toph, I mean, she looks, I'm trying to picture her being mean, because if you think about it, Toph, she's more of like the type of character where like she was like, she was wealthy, she dressed nice, she looked nice. She obviously had an innocent look to her. So obviously she didn't always look, mean. She didn't seem like she has like a mean face, even though her personality is just kind of like, like rough. I think that she had like more of a soft, young, what I'm saying, like a soft look, like kind of innocent look. So I guess for her, I guess that makes sense. I go with it. Suki, I feel like Suki is Suki looks really good to me. I feel like that if she was like to look like a normal person, like taking her from a cartoon and making her into like a realistic looking person, I feel like that's realistic for how she would look. Aang, I really like Aang. I feel like, first of all, because they make him look kind of like, he looks like a white boy in Avatar. He doesn't look like he's Asian, but the fact that they actually kind of made him look, he looks younger. He got the hair there, but I can kind of picture him being bald. And I kind of like this look. I kind of like how this looks, because I'm just kind of like, okay, so Aang, I'm kind of seeing you now as a person. Because I was always like, if they're to do a live action, what type of person would they cast to be in this part? And so if they got somebody that look like this, I would I'll be willing to accept it. The only thing is he kind of looks older than Aang, because if you look, Toph and Aang were pretty much like the same age. The only ones who are older was like, you know, Katara, Sokka, Zuko. They were pretty much older. So like with Aang, I feel like he should probably look like a little bit younger, but as he gets older, this is like the perfect look, because you all know like during the show he gets a little bit older. So this right will be a perfect look. Zuko, I like Zuko too. I think Zuko looks pretty good. Yeah, okay. Zuko, this is a nice look. They even kind of got the eye color right too, because his eyes are like kind of like a really bright, like they kind of like a gold, like a very hazily like type look, and I feel like that looks kind of good. If they were to cast somebody like that, I would be okay with it. Like, it looks okay. And then the two favorites that I have is actually Katara and Sokka, because I feel like this is something that they've had a hard time with, even with the original creators. Like, how do you find people that look like those like characters? You know what I'm saying? They're Asian, but it's just kind of like for them, they casted white looking people for those parts, and I was like, that. But with this right here, they're perfectly. I actually kind of see it here. Sokka, okay, I don't know why they have like this size looking all light like that, like he's like old. I don't know why they did that, like what's going on with the color. But as far as like how he looks, they look like normal people basically is what I'm saying, and I like the look of this. I think it looks spot on. I could definitely see all of this. They actually made a show where the characters look like this. I would be happy to see it. And I was like, if they cast people that look like this, like, I'm visualizing it now. And if you think about it, this live action is very important, because these are the faces when we see them from now on. Those will be the faces when we think of Aang, when we think of the characters of Avatar. Their faces will pop in our heads, because right now we can only see like the cartoon like version of them, but like we actually have people who actually represent or play those characters. It's kind of like your mind kind of like switches, and it's kind of like, okay, when you think of them, you think of that person. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of like casting for these parts are going to be very important if they're going to go through with the live action. So casting right, that's going to be the thing, because a lot of people might not be happy, because a lot of us have like an image of how we think that they should look just because they're cartoons. So I feel like that's like something that's very important. Like, they're going to represent those characters, and so people aren't happy with it. Wait, you know what I'm saying? Like, ooh. So yeah, so that's basically all I wanted to say in this video, guys. What do you guys think of this picture? Do you like it? What do you not like? Like, who looks the most accurate? Who do you think looks the most accurate? Like, who would you like to see? Like, which one of these look the most accurate to you? And do you have any like actors or actresses that you feel like would represent any of these roles perfectly? Let me know, because I was thinking about, me and my brother and I were thinking about doing a video as well, where we kind of take actors that we think would be like perfect for these parts that are already kind of out, new actors or whatever the case may be, and who we think will fit perfectly in these parts for these characters. But if you guys have any ideas, put them down in the comment section below, and we'll definitely be taking a look at those, and we'll most likely do a video with if we agree with you, we're gonna be like, hey, we're gonna put this in the video. Okay, so if you guys are interested in that, definitely check that out. Let me know your thoughts on whatever I said or whatever I talked about in this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. See ya.